Here today with Coach Craig Martin of your Magnolia Bulldogs. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good, Tony. How are you?
I am doing good. So we're in the part of the year where you're as busy as you're going to be all year. Uh, Sports just wrapping up, several sports in the playoffs, graduation coming up. Same time, you're getting to see your football players out there participating in other sports. You're getting to see them in the weight room. How's it
Absolutely.
going so far in the spring?
It's been, we've had a really good spring. Off season has gone really well. We're pleased with where our guys are. Like you said, we've got a lot of guys that are involved in a lot of different things, and really proud of what we've been able to accomplish there too. Had some state power lifters. Got a guy going to the state track meet. Our track team did very well this year, and so yeah, we're excited about things to come.
All right, so we've got graduation here in a couple of weeks, which means there's going to be some people from your team that aren't going to be back.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, so, kind of walk us through your team for the fall. Who's graduating? Who might step into those roles? Who's going to be back?
Yeah, so the good news is we returned quite a few guys from last year's team, especially on the defensive side. The big graduates that we have, we're losing our quarterback, losing a couple of offensive linemen, losing a couple of some defensive linemen, and a couple of secondary guys from our back end. But we were also really young in some areas too. So that was part of our problems that we ran into last year was just some inexperience and some youth. So we really feel like last year was kind of one of those years for us where the youth kind of showed up and experience kind of got us in a few of those. And so hopefully that experience now is going to show up on the positive end of things.
Now, not a lot of margin for error in your district. Um, Kind of walk us through the teams in your district and what you expect to see from them this fall.
No, you're absolutely right on that one. Not a lot of room to breathe for sure. I think we've got some really good coaches in this district too. When you just start reading off the names of the teams in this district, certainly several of them catch your attention pretty quickly with the Manvilles and the Fosters, and Coach Kaduti's done a great job at Fulshire getting those guys going. And we've also got some new guys coming in. Kirk Martin is back at Manville, and got a new guy at Friendswood. That's a Friendswood guy, so I'm sure he's going to have them energized. And so yeah, it's a week to week grind, that is for sure.
And not to mention your district mate over there, Magnolia West.
Yeah,
I think their Foster sitting at home last year was stunning because
yes sir,
I think they were a top 10 team in the state, which says a
yes
lot
sir.
about your district.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is really a team or a district with a lot of parity when it's all said and done. Like I said, not only is there a lot of great athletes within our district, but there's also a lot of great coaching staffs that go along with it. And so it really is a district where the team that plays better that Friday night is the team that wins. It could really go either way each week, and even with us, this past year, we went 3-7, but 5 of those 7 losses were one score games. So we felt like we were right there, and even with the best of the best for sure.
So you were right in a bunch of those games, but they didn't break your way. What
Sure.
do you do to build up your players in those circumstances and to make some of those go your way this year?
Sure. Well, I think the biggest thing is just identifying those areas that we did well. I think when you identify the things that you did well and address the things that maybe you didn't do well, certainly that gives you a better chance for sure. I think you always try to find the positives in all of those situations, right? And I think the good news for us is that we feel like all those situations were really, us beating ourselves more so than just falling on the short end of the stick, athletically, for example. I don't feel like we just got beat up in those games more so than we found ways to beat ourselves. And so when you have a district as competitive as ours, what you definitely don't want to do is find ways to beat yourself. And so when we can clean those little things up, but I think, when you point out the positives, those are the things that you can certainly build on. And I think mentally it gives your kids the advantage of at least you can. if you go and you get beat by 50 points in all those games, it's really hard to convince your kids that you're capable of doing that. And so I think our kids do believe in themselves, and I think they're smart kids, and they understand the things that we did not do well last year, and so those are certainly areas that we have been working to improve.
All right, let's take a step back, big picture here. You've been around coaching for quite a while.
Yes, sir.
Um, what would you say the number one challenge facing Texas high school athletics right now is?
Well, I think it depends on the sport. I think in football is kind of lucky in that it is a sport that is really the only place that you can play football is at a school. Whereas all your other sports can be played in club or travel teams and things like that. So I think that's the big challenge. I think one of our challenges coaches in general nowadays is to really make sure that we know what we're doing. And what I mean by that is that our kids and our parents, our communities need to know that we're capable, that we are, we're professionals at what we do. We're knowledgeable about what we're teaching kids, and that gives us the credibility, right, to be the go-to guys. Like I said, I think in a lot of the other sports, their personal, individual trainers are out there. Like I said, these travel teams and club teams and things like that are all great. But we really want to be the resource that the kids turn to the most as the experts, right? If you have a question, if you're a baseball kid and you need hitting instruction, well, our head baseball coach is really good at that. Our fill in the blank of the sport. I think that's the biggest challenge nowadays is that kids have so many opportunities available to them. And so it's a challenge to make sure that our kids see us as the go-to place to have those successes. A lot of those other sports also, part of the recruiting does go through summer programs and travel programs and select programs and clubs because of the way that recruiting works. And football is one of those that the big schools have big recruiting budgets, and those guys get a chance to get out on the road and see kids, and so that's the other challenge is continuing to work on our network so that when we do have kids that are that are possible for them to play at the next level, that we have the networks to be able to reach out to coaches and make those things happen.
Now, talk a little bit about kids playing at the next level if we can. Obviously, not everyone's going to play at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
But for most kids that are capable of starting at 5A or 6A level in Texas, there's an opportunity to play at the next level. It may be
Sure.
a Division III Maine Maritime Institute,
Sure.
but there's an opportunity. So how much discussion goes on within a program about those kinds of Division II, Division III opportunities?
There's always been a lot of those discussions, but I think that if there's one benefit nowadays of the transfer portal, I think that the transfer portal has hurt some of the Division I recruiting stuff because a lot of those things a lot of their needs can be filled by going to the portal, depending on the positions. But it's easier sometimes for those guys to go grab an offensive lineman that's been playing at the college level for a couple of years and he's in the portal. And, you got a kid coming out of high school that may need a year to develop before he's ready to kind of go up against that level of competition. But I think that the benefit of the portal, these schools don't necessarily always see it that way, but your Division II and your Division III schools now, if you can go there, they're almost like 4-year JUCOs. And what I mean by that is that if you can go there and play well, the Division I schools are pulling them out of the portal now too, and so you can almost find ways to move yourself up. So the benefit for us as coaches now is that those are all really viable options for kids if they really want to play at the next level. Is to go somewhere where they can play and be able to get on the field as quickly as they can. And if they can go play well, then their opportunities actually expand more so than they ever have in the past.
It was one of my reactions when I hear people talking about the impact of the portal is, okay, yeah, so Alabama's taken this lineman from Northwest East Central University, but that means Northwest East Central University needs to replace him as a lineman.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so those guys are constantly looking, for players as well. Yeah, it's really changed the landscape of how all those guys are recruiting. And like I said, nowadays, if the Division I schools are having to recruit their own kids just as much as they're having to recruit kids outside of it, kind of on a constant basis too.
So going from big picture to small picture, trying to learn a little bit about Craig Martin, what would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
Well, I don't. I mean, I enjoy a good sweet tooth thing from time to time, but if there's anything that I'm probably guilty of is enjoying a good nap when I get an opportunity to steal a nap, in there. And I've got a really good supportive family that understands that a lot of times I come home tired. If it's just a little 30-minute power nap, they allow me to do that from time to time. So the older I get, the more I enjoy a good little nap.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck as the school year wraps up and you move into the 23 season.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.